Yay, we are here. We are live. Hey, Liz, how are
Hi,
you?
Kim. Good. How are you?
Good. We're all comfortable right now at home.
Yes.
You sound good. All right. Let's get started. All right. So this is a interviewing Liz on how she started monetizing and kind of tell you the story of her journey to figuring out, hey, maybe Facebook groups is the way to go. Maybe launching is the way to go. So we're gonna start off with just at the very beginning before Liz found out about us and GroupConvert Ignite. So Liz, welcome. Today it's going to be a chill conversation between the both of us, and let's get started with your story. So, what rabbit hole and series of events led you into discovering GroupConvert, into discovering this world of monetizing from Facebook groups?
Sure. So I started my online coaching business back in 2020, and just a backstory. I am a hairstylist by trade, so I knew what I was going to do with this online business had to be different than how I grew my hair studio. It was not going to be the same. So I sought out, coaches that could help me figure out what my plan was going to be, and for about the last year, I had been using a coach that had been coaching growing a Facebook group, right? Like that's how you build a community and you serve them and nurture them, and then at some point they may become clients. So that's kind of the road I was on, but I was feeling like nothing was happening. There was like no traction, no momentum. So I started to get frustrated, and I had heard about GroupConvert because in this coaching practice, they actually had us use GroupConvert to set our groups up, and so everything like lined up the right way. So I thought, well, I've seen Kim because I'm part of GroupConvert, so I get emails. So let me check this out and see how her method is different, if it is. And that's when I decided to come on with you all and see if I did a little bit of a shift in what I was doing to see if that could give me any traction or momentum.
Yeah, so one of the things that I've done when I launched GroupConvert, the extension, is I'm gonna be embedded into every single course, into every single community that teaches about this, because maybe eventually I want to go and figure it out for my subscribers, people who are paying $10 a month, or they're getting it included into the program. So what I did was I partnered up with a lot of course creators. So that's really cool that you went and you paid for a program that taught you how to grow the group, but really they didn't focus on monetizing, and there was a shift that needed to happen. So can you tell me what did you try during that journey that you said, hey, this didn't work? And the reason why I'm asking you this is because there's probably people listening in. Guys, if you're listening in, give me a hashtag live if you're watching the live, and hashtag replay if you're watching the replay. But there are probably a lot of people entering into the space just like you who want to monetize as well. And they were taught to do something else. They were taught to grow their audience. So can you tell me what techniques that were deployed or that you were taught that, hey, this didn't lead to conversion, but it led to, let's say, growing your audience to some extent?
Sure. So with the program that I was in, there was a lot of, so I had a VA that was working with me during that program, and it was a lot of cold DMing. Like I call it cold because there was, yes, we would go into groups and we would friend people that were in our niche, right? In my niche, but it just felt cold to me. There was a lot of back and forth with strangers basically, and none of it really felt organic. And I kept getting from the coaches, I kept getting guidance. Oh, you just need to change your messaging. You need to change your messaging. And because what would happen is we would bring somebody into the group, and there would be a little back and forth, and it just felt it didn't feel like aligned in any way. And so the thing I liked about your program is it is very much organic. Like the back and forth that you have with people on DMs, it doesn't feel awkward or icky. And that's what I always came up against when I was using the process of the previous coach. And so I think that made a huge difference for me. Like I felt like something clicked, whereas for a whole year it wasn't. So for me, that is one of the biggest things that I took away from this, that it doesn't, it can be an organic back and forth, just figuring out like how you can help them and serve them. And the other thing is that there wasn't a lot of launching that was going on in the other coaching I was getting. Like it was just grow your group and then maybe every now and then have a conversion event, but it wasn't really focused on that. And that flipped whenever I started using your program, your method, because you coach that you need to have launches, what you've said is every month, right? Like, so there's some kind of conversion event every month. And I hadn't been doing that for a whole year. So I felt like that was a huge change and shift as well.
Yeah, because sometimes we're taught to, get people on a call from a cold DM and then convert them somehow. And it's just like a brute force numbers game. Like, keep on hitting it until something works. And the path that is possible is, hey, when you do a launch, people are coming to you in a way where they're open-minded, where they want to learn. And it's a self-selecting process into working with you as the very next step in this journey, not this really cold, hard, get on a phone call and pitch them. They understand by the time they hop on the call with you what you're about, essentially, because of your launch and the consistency of your launch. One of the things I tell my clients all the time is the benefit is, sure, you're converting on the launch, but it's just not the conversion piece. The conversion piece is just one of the many benefits of launching, because you are consistent and you show up. And there are some people in the background who will not watch a single video of your launch, but just understand that you are consistent, and it just triggers them. We have clients who sign up with us without even watching one video, because they know that we've been around and this is what we teach, and we built our brand as being very consistent, and this is the thing that we do. So the benefit of that is your consistency. So I love that, Liz. So you went from a lot of not knowing to launch and just cold DMing for a year until now you're doing a launch, and it's a very different way of approaching your people that feels more organic and more natural to you.
Yes.
Can you take us into what when you were like, hey, let me take a look at what Kim has to say? What was it in that journey that made sense for you, that had you commit to? Because going from no launch to launching for some people is a big deal. They don't want to go on camera. They don't want to make, they want to be kind of in the background and just enrolling clients, maybe one-on-one. What was that switch for you that, in terms of our messaging to you, that made you go, okay, I want to give this a shot? What did you see in the journey that you experienced that made it seem possible for you to do it too?
Sure. So I think a lot of it had to do with what I was doing wasn't working. And so I knew I needed to try.
I'll try anything.
Yes, I was kind of at the point where I'm like, this has got to work, right? And you all do a good job of having testimonials and just putting it out there to where I can understand, like, okay, so all these people are doing it. It's working for more than just one person. So there must be some kind of a rhythm to it. There must be something to it. So, and getting into your training, like, for sure, I loved how you all kind of just lay out everything. Like, this is, if you're going to do a launch, this is what's going to happen. And that was appealing to me, because, like, I don't want to reinvent the wheel. I just want to apply it to what I do and make it work. Right. So that, I think for me, just getting to see that other people were doing it and knowing you've been around doing it for a while, like, that spoke to me for sure.
Yeah. So you're like, hey, there's more than one testimonial here, so something must be working, and I'm willing to just try what else is going to work versus this method that's not working for me. Okay. So and then you said the way we laid it out was very much straightforward. And how did you consume in terms of now you're in, like, what are the actions and steps did you do, and what was the kind of support that you got that enabled you to implement, which is the most important piece, like implement, because information is everywhere. We know that. It's in the implementation that actually makes a difference. So yeah, how did you go about consuming the material, the support of the coaching that enabled you to go and do your launch?
Yeah, so I will tell you, I think like my big aha moment during your coaching program was that I forget what you call it, but the first call you get with mine was with Michael.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and where he kind of walked through, there was like a Word document that just kind of walked through what I do, like how I coach, what is my process. And there were so many light bulb moments during that phone call for me, like that I needed to have an actual like a method like in my coaching, which I know sounds silly saying that, but like I hadn't really ever sat down and done that with anyone or myself, to be honest with you. I just coached people from start to finish. So to really kind of come up with a method that has like pieces to it and kind of laid out like a framework, for me that was huge. Like that was a huge thing. So and where I'm going with this is from that moment, I just felt like a fire was lit under me because I was like, oh, I have a process. You know, it just made sense. It clicked. So going through the videos and stuff, I was just like, I couldn't get enough. I was like, ready. Okay, what's the next thing? And I'm super analytical. So to have things laid out like that and have the checklist that you have, that was just super helpful. Super helpful.
Yeah, and there are some of our clients who are more emotional, less analytical. So they're like they just go and they do it. And then we did create like a very step by step video how-to series that just laid it out very straightforward, 2 to 3 minute little videos for you to just go and implement. And then we do have that checklist so you can just see where you're at and checking it off. Did you feel like you had to do everything completely perfect and all together for you to do your launch, or what was the, in terms of, you got the support of Michael that first call, and then you went through the videos. What else did you do with the program before your launch, or was that it?
Sure. That was kind of it. Like I felt really rushed. I'll be completely transparent with you. That first launch, I felt like super rushed, and I'm kind of a perfectionist, which I know done is better than perfect, but it was really hard for me. So the first launch was not great, and I think it was just an intrinsic issue that I was having like with myself that everything wasn't perfect, you know. But when I went to do the second launch, because I had already prepped everything, it was less of a like hurry and do everything, creating stuff for the first time. Things were now created. So it was just kind of rinse and repeat. And that was nice. I did enjoy that. So I'm thinking like every time it's probably going to get a little bit better and better, right? Because you're kind of using a similar process, teaching that method. So yeah, I think for me at first it was overwhelming, but I'm understanding as you do it, it's rinse and repeat. And so that's kind of a nice thing about it.
Yeah. One of the things that I understand is that, you know, it will feel rushed. I am training you like an athlete running a marathon. So you are stepping into this marathon. And the mindset I have coming into this is I would much rather have you feel rushed and sweaty and kind of like, oh my gosh, I'm going to do this anyways, and actually convert, versus you spending a whole year in my program and not converting. So I would much rather have you experience that, even though it's kind of like, and it's similar to when I joined track. I joined cross country, and day one, they're like, all right, this is the first day of training. You're going to run 1 mile. And we're like, okay, cool. We ran 1 mile. And then the second day we came in, and then they're like, day 2, this is your training. You're going to run 10 miles. And we went from 1 mile to 10 miles in 1 day. And when we were thinking about doing the training and having you guys go through this, I thought about that moment where I'm like, wait a minute, they can either run 10 miles. I can either run 10 miles in like 3 months and work up to it. or I can run 10 miles day 2. And so with that in mind, I figured you can launch in a year, or you can launch in a couple of weeks, or you can launch in this month, like right now. And getting that out of the way, like 60 to 80% of your work is already front loaded, so that now it's okay, let's perfect it, let's make sure it's a little bit better each time, but then at least you hit the ground running and you have that validation to yourself that, whoa, this is possible and I can do this and other people are doing it. So I just gotta tweak at this and be consistent. So that's like my thought process by putting you guys through this. And one of the things that we do know, that if you aren't ready to launch and you're not committed to doing a launch, then we do not enroll you at all. We don't do that enrollment process. You have to feel like, oh shoot, I need to try something else, or else it's not going to work for the next year. I cannot go back to that. Like, that's the type of client we have to know you're going to launch. All right. And so the overwhelm and the rushing, it wasn't intentional. However, the launching part is. So I'm glad that instead of shrinking, you like step forward into it, even though you were, you felt overwhelmed, you felt rushed, you still did it anyways. And one of the quotes I refer back to frequently is, results don't take time, they just take courage. So this is like having clients be courageous and us standing strong in their vision versus, folding to the circumstance is, I believe, the biggest benefit of coming into a coaching program. Like, they hold you to that courage. So I love that you're like, hey, that was it, the call. And then I watched those videos and I just went. So I love that. And so can you give me a timeline breakdown of when did you launch after you came into the program? How long was it after you onboarded? Did you have your first call? Like, how was the even though it's rushed, like, what was that process like? Because some of the people listening in right now would say, I'm kind of on the fence. I don't know for sure if this is a good fit for me, but I do want to know, like, after I enroll, what does that process look like?
Sure. So I enrolled in October, and Michael set a goal, a challenge for me to launch on November 7th. And I was like, oh no. So as I started going through it, I was like, I can't do it. I can't make that date. So I pushed it by 1 week. But my first launch was mid-November. And like I said, that one was rough. I was getting my feet wet. It was probably a lot of me being in my own head, right? So that launch, I didn't have any sales.
Mm-hmm.
But in my mind, I was like, I've gone a year with that same issue. So like, let's try it again. And the second time was much better. I launched just before Christmas. So about, 3-ish weeks in between. And it was way smoother. Everything felt a lot more put together. And I got calls from that, and I booked 2 clients from that. So
Nice.
for me, that was like a huge deal, going from a whole year of doing things and spinning my wheels and nothing's happening to, I've tried something twice and the second time it worked. So in a matter of 2 months. So I was very impressed by that.
You impress yourself. And there are those who are listening in who are like, you know what, I gave it all my shot and I did my launch and it just failed the first time, and so a part of you didn't give up. You're like, I'm just gonna go again, like, let's go. What about how did you fight the feeling of like, gosh, shit, like another thing isn't gonna work for me? Like, I trusted this program. What part of you was like, I'm going to try this again. Like, this can't be it. I'm going to try it again. What indicators gave you that motivation to not just throw in the towel and be like, Kim, you told me this is going to work. Sure. I'm in the program and look, no sales, my first launch. I'm disappointed. You could have gone down that path, but instead you're like, I'm going to do it again. So like, what part of you, you know, gave you that kind of the positive side versus the negative feelings?
I think for me, it was the perfectionist in myself. Like I knew that I had not done everything the way, and I felt like things were pieced together. And it was just in my perfectionist brain, I was like, okay, I didn't do it to 100%, so I'm going to try it again. And then when I do it to 100%, if it doesn't work, then I'm going to be mad. But I have to try it, you know, to 100%, do it the right way, the way that she coaches, the way that Kim coaches, and then I'll have an excuse to be upset. But like, I couldn't be mad at anybody but myself because I, you know, like you said, like you're thrown in and you got to do it. And so that first time I was like, okay, that was just a practice run in my mind, practice run. Now here's the real deal for the second one. And it went well, thankfully. And I want to mention like my numbers are very small. Like my group is very small. It's just a group of about, my main group is like 350 people. So when I did my second launch, there were only 10 people in the lot in that challenge. So I felt like 2 out of 10. I was like really impressed with that. I was okay with this. So you know, I make that point to say like, even if your community is small, I feel like this coaching program worked, like this method worked. So
man, that's huge because we're taught to like get 1,000 subscribers on TikTok and YouTube, and you know, YouTube 1,000 means nothing. You need to have some millions, right? And Instagram, you gotta have like tens of thousands of followers to be even relevant, to even try to convert. And then here you are with a group of 10 people.
yeah.
And 2 people said yes, which is 20% conversion on such a small, teeny audience. And I keep saying this to my clients all the time. I'm like, hey, you don't need this huge audience. You could just have a couple people say yes to you. And that idea is just, it goes against human nature. You know, it goes against what we're taught growing up. It goes against logic almost. So I love that you said, hey, I have a small audience. It's 350. I only have 10 people in my second challenge, you know, and for some people, if their first challenge failed and they only have 10 people show up to their second challenge, for a lot of people, they will give up even before it starts. They're just like, what the heck is this? 10 people, Kim? Like, what are the chances? Yeah. You went forward anyways, and that is such a great indicator that you will be so successful at this because you're not gonna give up. You're like, hey, I didn't give it my best. So if I give it my best, then I can be mad at Kim for telling me all these stories. So can you walk us through what you said? You booked some calls, and when you said some, there was a little bit of hesitation in there. So I wanna see like how did the enrollment happen for you? Is it right when you pitched? Is it when you booked the call? Was there some follow up? Like to go from converting nothing for a year to all of a sudden converting, that must be the most euphoric feeling.
Yeah.
You know, so walk me through kind of walk me through that experience and what happened.
Sure. It was weird for me. It was euphoric. Yeah, it was. I was like, okay, is this really happening? So I had gotten, over the whole year that I had been doing the other program, I had gotten a couple of calls, but none of them ever transpired into anything. So as the challenge went through, in December, the one that I had conversion from, I had 2 calls booked from the challenge, and then only one of the calls showed up. And that didn't lead to anything. So the people that I sold were actually people I did not have calls with. They, after the challenge ended, and you leave the videos up for a while, they were DMing with me like, I'm on the fence. I think I want to do this. And so at that point I was like, okay, well, we need to get on a call, right? Like they're not going to just buy it from a DM. So I kept saying like, okay, well, if you have questions, I can chat with you, like no pressure. And then both of them basically within days of each other, were like, no, I talked to my spouse. I'm ready to do it. I just need an invoice. And I was like, okay, well, I didn't expect that. I didn't expect that at all. I didn't know people would do that. So, but yeah, so I ended up booking them through the DMs versus a call. which was interesting to me. So I didn't know that could happen. So
Well, there are, in this space, when you do it the right way, there are people doing $60 million in a week, like Russell Brunson is with his 5-day challenge. And then there's people who are doing $1 million in a week. And then there's people doing a couple, hundred thousands of dollars. And then, it varies like crazy. But the people who are doing that volume are having people purchase their program straight up from an order page without the need of a call. So I have seen such a variety of what's successful. And then I've also seen people close directly in the DMs on offers up to $20,000, $25,000. So, and maybe that is something that maybe our program should have, in a way, communicate to you, like, hey, there's a lot of things that's possible here. But if you could sell inside of the DMs without jumping on a call, and that world is possible for you, and all you got to do is just do more of that, how would your life change in that way?
Well,
what would your future look like?
That would be amazing, because I would have more time, I feel like, not having to bounce on a call all the time. And I could see how a VA who has worked with me could, kind of do a good job of not imitating me, but filling in on some of those DMs, just the back and forth that happens. So yeah, definitely some time freedom there for sure.
Yeah. And there are going to be times where you do hop on a call, but what ended up happening, it sounded like, was they saw your videos and your videos did the selling. It's as if, you don't have to hop on a call, but your videos did all the work. And nurtured them throughout that process. So did you ask them, what was it that had them say yes, in terms of them saying, I'm in, I don't need a call. I spoke to my husband already, let's go. What was part of that process that had them say yes?
Yes, I did. For one of them, it was because of the scholarship. So that part of it, which I was kind of like, oh, I don't know, but I just trusted, okay, she's done this before. All right, I'm going to do this. So one of them, it was because of the scholarship. That is what put her into the point where she was like, okay, I'm going to do this. And then the other one just had some life experiences. Her father died, but and actually that happened right before she signed on with me. And I think it was just things had happened, and she was like, okay, I know I need to get right with my money, and this feels like a good fit. And so she just jumped on board. I think it was just situational. So yeah, for one, it was life, and the other one, it was the scholarship that motivated her.
Oh, okay, great. And yeah, life experiences make you kind of rethink your priorities, and it makes you trust more in the unknown, because you never know what will happen, next week or next month. Tomorrow isn't really promised, to you. So I love that. And, people will enroll with you for all sorts of reasons, but most of the time it's because you are you. There's no other Liz Sowers exactly like you in this world. And they must have saw how you were, the way you are, and it allowed them to trust their decision in your hands moving forward. So I love that. And your nature, Liz, is very calming and soothing. I interview some clients, and they're just really loud and in a good way, and just in your face. For you, it's just hello, I'm Liz. I'm chill. So, and they probably resonated with that nature as well, the relaxing, calm demeanor that you have. So I do want to ask you, what challenges came up along the way that you felt things were a little bit difficult, and how did you overcome that challenge? I know one way is you said, hey, I didn't do everything perfectly, so I'm going to give it a go again. What challenges did you experience yourself, and how did you emotionally or mentally overcome that challenge as you're going through this process?
I think, Kim, honestly, I'll keep going back to that, but it was just the fact that I didn't do everything the right way the first time. So like for me, it was the challenge of just letting go and just trusting the process, and knowing that, you know, if I got through most of the things and it didn't have to be perfect, it just had to be done. And then just really showed up during the challenge and served as much as I could, that it was going to be okay. And that second time, that's what happened. And because, you know, not everything was perfect, and um, I still went and showed up and served, and I think that spoke. I think that spoke through. So that was my biggest challenge, is just kind of getting over myself, right? Getting out of my own way, and doing the things, and trusting the process. So
I love that, Liz. But I love to see like the transformation, because I do remember when you first came on, you're like, yeah, I'm in this other program for a year, hasn't worked, and then I was like, well, you know, try this, and you're like, okay. So I love to see the transformation, especially now that you're like, wow, this is huge. After a whole year, now I'm starting to convert. What does the how does how has your perspective in which the future for you has shifted and changed now that you know that this is possible for you? And you're just, you know, you even sold like in the DMs, not even on a phone call. And so how has like the way that you look at your future and kind of like life shift in just a mere couple of months? Uh, yeah.
yeah, so having the previous year that I had, where I was literally bringing in $0 in my business, uh, I was kind of at the point where I was like, okay, I've got to do something or I've got to quit. You know what I mean? Like, you can't just do this forever. And so because it's a hobby at that point, right? So after having this process, going through this process with your coaching method, and having that second launch go the way that it did, it really opened my eyes. I'm like, okay, even if I could just do this every time, I know it's little, but it's better than zero. And so I just, in my mind, I'm like, okay, this could be a thing that could definitely compound and make my business grow. So I think that just seeing that the launching method worked, and seeing that you didn't even have to get on a call to sell something, was just an eye opener for me. And it was enough motivation and traction for me to be like, okay, I need to be consistent with this method. This method works. I found something. I need to keep doing this. So yeah, for me, that's really what it was. It was just an eye opening experience. So
I love that. And Jason is like, Jason got some wins in as well. Jason, congratulations for, I believe Jason enrolled a 8K client and it's like 3 clients in his first launch. So Jason, congratulations. Yeah, and Jason said he's so glad that it's working for you, Liz. I'm really excited for your future, because especially, you know, the reason why we created this program is because a lot of programs focus on growing, you know, growing your email list, growing your audience, and not a lot of programs focus on converting. And we're like, well, your list could be tiny, but we're going to convert a few of them. And as long as you're consistent, it's a compounding effect as they hear more about you. Because someone who heard about you probably 2 months ago, they didn't have the money, they could save it up, and then they see you go and open your cart again, and then they can come in then. Jason is like, thank you. She's gonna crush it. Yay. I love clients watching these interviews. It's like they come in and they watch to get more motivation and to support each other. One of my clients, she says she enrolled because she saw that the same people were coming back over and over again to consume and to support, and she's like, I really love that type of community. With that said, did you go and attend any of the coaching calls that we have? Did you reach out to other people, or were you just like focused in your bubble to go and execute? Like, what was your method of implementation?
Sure. I was pretty focused and just kept my eyes down. But I will say I watched several of the coaching calls on replay. And I really liked, because I feel like this is not my strong suit. Is it Larry that does the sales calls?
Yeah,
I
Larry.
felt like those were like, not that the other ones were not great, but like that spoke to me. Those things spoke to me because I feel like that's the part of what I do that I need to work on. So that was very helpful to be able to be in on the replays of those for sure.
Yeah, Larry is amazing. Actually, he's going to be coming to our in-person event in a couple of weeks in Miami. So that's going to be cool. Larry's Jason's like, yeah, he's great. Larry is amazing. He's has such a warm heart, and he's such a great human being. I'm so like appreciative that Larry's been on our team for the past year, over a year now. So yeah. So sales, you didn't go and jump on the other calls, the systems bot call, nothing. Oh, well.
I didn't because I just was so focused on trying to get through the modules. That's the
Yeah,
perfectionist in me. Yeah.
yeah, I love that. And for the longest time, we didn't have those modules, so we just have replays of Zoom calls. And we had tons of clients going, Kim, like you got to make some step-by-step thing for us. And I'm like, oh, okay. And so we did that. And after that, it was very much, for the more analytical buyer, they're like, oh, we love this. This is perfect. Okay, I'll just follow this. And it works. So I want to ask for personally, I know we spoke about overcoming the obstacle of like not converting, but in terms of personally, what are the ways in which your personal goals might have shifted now that as long as you're consistent and you keep on focus on this consistency, you'll enroll more clients. How does that affect how you personally see like your goals, like beyond the conversion of clients and the money? Has that changed for you at all, or not yet? I don't know. I always ask this question.
Yeah. So I think for me, a whole year of like just going through all these motions, I always felt busy. I always felt like I was working for nothing, So stepping back and being able to use your method and seeing that it actually did lead to conversions, but not just that, but some growth too. So I was kind of like, you know what? It feels nice that I can like set down what wasn't working, be consistent with what is. It frees up a little bit of time for me. It definitely makes me less stressed. I was super stressed. So yeah, I think as far as like my personal stuff has changed, like it's just a little bit more time freedom and a lot less anxiety when it comes to running my business.
Oh, I love that. To go
Yeah.
from being stressed and working really hard for a year and not seeing results to in a couple months, getting more results in a whole year of like stressful work. And then on top of that, getting your stress reduced because you see a path forward that works. And you're just like, okay, great. This gives you a lot of peace of mind back, as well, which is what I love, because, it's not fun to be in a constant stress mode for a year. That sounds miserable. Oh my
Yes.
God. Yeah. I'm so glad that peace of mind is what you can have when you can, because in the state of the in between, if you're like stuck between a rock and a hard place, it seems like you're like, well, I can't do more of this because this is not working, but I don't know what else is there to do. And then finally being able to put down, okay, I'm going to put down what hasn't worked and I'm going to continue what does work, is such a gift, a gift to yourself to let go of the past, So I find that very, very valuable.
Yeah.
I love that. I love that answer. Um, Putting down the past, putting down what doesn't work. And so, what's your big, hairy, audacious goal, Liz, for this year, 2023? We're in January. We're just in January. What is that goal for you?
I think for me, the goal would be just consistency. So just being able to stay consistent with my process and stay consistent with converting for this year. Like I was for a whole year, I was consistent with nothing happening. So now I'm hoping that this year can be some consistency in way of like what I'm doing, my methods, and then bringing people on to grow and to convert. So that is my goal.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
Your microphone is
Oh,
kind
sorry.
of like scratchy a little bit. So just making sure that there isn't as much feedback. But other than that, so Jason is asking, hey, what's your offer? So we spent like this whole time talking and we don't even know what it is that, or the audience doesn't know what your offer is. I know you're a hairstylist by trade. I just got off of talking in front of about 200 people at a beauty conference where everyone were hairstylists, everyone were spa owners, salon, beauty, cosmetologists. So yeah, I had to cater my presentation. I was showing them, Facebook group monetization and conversion, and talking to the beauty world because, again, the beauty world is very much work all day with their hands, and automation is kind of like off on the back burner over there. And so to see that they can reach their people in a more automated way was kind of mind blowing for them. But I just came back from spending 4 days at a beauty at a beauty conference, so I'm curious, for you with your background as a hairstylist, like what did you decide on with your offer, and was it also the initial offer that you came into Ignite with? Like, did Ignite change your offer in any way? Did we restructure it? Or was it the exact same and then you were able to convert with it? Yeah, let's dive into what it is that you offer.
So basically what I do is I coach, and what I've learned that my niche is other hairstylists. So I coach other hairstylists on their personal finances. That is what I do. They may be in debt, they may have savings goals, they may have goals of like buying a house, whatever it might be. So I coach them from A to Z, like where they are now to where they want to be. And the thing that your group helped me with was like solidifying what my offer was. Like I just knew I coached one-on-one before I met you. Like I just coach hairstylists how to manage their money better, right? But it just became more structured, especially at first call with Michael, like understanding that there's an offer stack, like that hadn't been going on at all. And I think that helps. I think that might have been one of the things that pushed people over to convert in December when I had my challenge, was that it wasn't just they were getting one-on-one coaching, they were getting other things within that offer stack. So that was a nice change that you brought to it. And then also just a little bit more structure when it comes to like how I was actually coaching them, and the framework that looks like. So those were the things that definitely changed. But what I was offering didn't necessarily change, just how it looked, I guess, is what I'm saying.
And so when you change how it looked, that's when people resonated with you as well. Like, okay, that offer makes sense, because I believe in this phrase called the curse of the expert, which is you're so deeply hypnotized in your own expertise that it's difficult for you to communicate the value of what you have to offer to the person that you want to offer it to. And one of the ways in which we help you translate this, I call our company the Great Translator. We're really translating what it is that you want to say to them in a way where they see the true value of what you have to bring, so that they can make that buying decision. They can make that informed decision. That makes all the difference, being able to keep your offer, but the way it's wrapped up, the way it's structured changes, so that you're not doing, let's say, trading time for money completely all the time. Like you just knew the one-on-one coaching world, and then now it's more switching over to something where it's more group, maybe.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then that probably brings you a lot more time back for you as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I love that, Liz. So yeah, Jason's like, what's your offer? Yeah, so I love that. And there's so many hairstylists and there's so many people out there that who need your help. You know, never mind that they are hairstylists or not, people need help in getting their finances in order, period, you know.
Yeah.
And I'm glad you're able to niche down to hairstylists because it's like the world that you know, and you probably have known other people right now that could benefit from your help if only they knew about what it is that you offer. So there are, you know, Liz, there are conferences, beauty conferences that you could go to too, as well, that you could sponsor even as like a booth. Or yeah, like there's like, you know, the launch is just like it's a small component of what Ignite has to offer. And I'm so glad you're just scratching the surface and you're just like telescopically head down doing it. There's definitely this journey for you in terms of discovering what else we have to offer, and that you've been in the program for only a couple months. So I'm excited for you. With that said, my interviews are usually around about 40-50 minutes. And as a some closing questions I have is, if someone, let's say that they are a good fit, and you know, to be specific for those who are listening in, because I have clients who, before they enroll, they kind of hunt down their specific avatar for some reason. I'm just like, hey, it works for a lot of people, but they're like, well, did they have a big audience before? And I'm like, no. Did they already have like an offer that's converting like crazy before? That's why they're successful. I'm like, no. And so, like, let's go over this list of the things that are kind of impossible to the possible, right? Did you have a big audience before, Liz?
No.
What was your audience like before? Like, how many people?
Well, like, I think while I was with you, it probably grew by like 50 people. So it didn't grow a ton. So it, you know, we're talking like somewhere between 275, 300. And now it's up to 350. So yeah, it was not a huge group and still is not huge. So yeah.
All right. Did you have an offer before us?
I did have an offer, but it wasn't great and it was not converting.
Okay. Did you have to go live all the time?
Yes. I went live in my group for a whole year every single week.
Yeah, and it didn't result in sales.
Nada. Yeah.
All right. And then now, do you feel like you have to go live all the time?
No. Nope. I have actually changed that to only going live in my group twice a month. And one of those is part of the conversion event.
Yes, win. Do you feel like you now can work less for more results?
Yes, absolutely.
All right, another win. And did you have to give up a lot of what you were already doing, sacrifice a lot of things in order to make this happen?
Not necessarily, because the coaching program I had come from was like, you know, build a group, build a community. I just had to pivot a little bit. So it was a good transition for me.
Oh, I love that. Yeah. And if someone were a good fit and they were on the fence and they're just like you, where they've been in another program or they've tried something for a long time and it isn't working, but they have a desire to help their people like you do, and they see it as a long haul, not like get rich quick, one-time thing like you do, what would you say to them if they're on the fence about joining Ignite?
Yeah. So I would say if they know themselves well enough and they know that they are going to actually try the method and do the things that you say to do and trust the process, then they should go ahead and do it. Yes. Because it was definitely a game changer for my business, for sure.
Oh, I love that. All right. And where can they find you? Last question is, Liz, where can they find you online? What handle do you go by? And yeah.
Yeah. On Instagram, I'm at the Money Stylist. And then my website is my name, lizsowers.com. So
At the Money Stylist.
Yes.
All right, I'm going to go ahead and add that at the Money Stylist. Okay, cool. So you see that the banner scrolling, her handle is the very end of that banner. And it's at the Money Stylist. Liz is a real person. You can go and reach out to her. She helps hairstylists get control of their finances, and then yeah, I'm so excited for you, Liz. I'm excited for your future. And I'm excited for all of the people that you're going to be helping along the way, because you finally found a system that works for you. And
Yes.
I'm glad to have organized the people and the resources and the things to put it together to make it happen for you. So I'm super excited. And it was not because of just us. I always tell my clients and my team that we don't take no credit, share no blame, which is, it is as much you in this effort as it is us. You know, you put in the work, you put in that time. You didn't give up when your first launch with 0 conversion. And that really, that's the trait of a successful entrepreneur, not giving up. And so I'm really honored that you're in my program, and I'm really excited to have us continue to help you, and have you continue being consistent and helping your people. So with that said, Liz, thank you so much for showing up and hanging out with me today. I'm going to put you back into the green room. You can X out and be on your merry way. And yeah, guys, I'm going to have a little bit of a word, an ending word. So I'm going to now put you back into the green room, Liz.
Thank you.
All right, bye. Have a great
Bye.
rest of your day. So that was Liz. Super amazing individual, doesn't give up, really goes for it. Again, she's been through this journey for a year without converting, and most people would quit. Most people would not continue, but not Liz. She continued. So we have 2 more spots to our in-person mastermind, just so you know, and it is literally next week. So if you're interested, drop the word mastermind, and it's in Miami, Florida. I'm going to be playing a trailer of it in just a second as we close up this interview. All right. All right. Share this.
Will come of it.
This event was phenomenal.
It's been a blast.
I saw a lot more than just another business event. I saw a community.
Can't think of anything to complain about. The whole experience is just awesome.
The #1 benefit of coming to events like this is the ability to connect with other people who share values.
It's not just what she does, it's how she does it.
Each and every single event that Kim has, she just takes it to the next level.
The net worth is just insane.
The things that come of this will change the world.
What I felt was really cool is that I felt included.
This experience has been an absolute delight. At the end of the day, life's about doing what you enjoy with people you love. This entire weekend has been significant to getting to connect with other people in the space, seeing really what's possible across all the different facets of how you build a business.
Immediately, I fell in love with her personality, and I knew that she really knew what she was talking about, and this is what I needed to take my business to the next level.
GroupConvert Live was a little bit different from other events that I've attended because we kind of moved between the strategic and the tactical, and in part because there were some surprising cool events that were in the area.
They've helped me realize the essentials to a business that is rooted in collaborations with other individuals. And I'm so thankful that here you just have so many individuals bringing ideas to the table to collaborate and create great things in this world that make an impact.
I'm so eternally grateful for everything that Kim does. She comes from the heart, and she truly, truly cares about not just the actual results in the business, but the experience of that itself.
Kim's team
Everyone here is super friendly. The food is awesome. The special show that she arranged for us. Can't think of anything to complain about. The whole experience is just awesome.
We had a beautiful, interactive, colorful drum experience that has to be seen, to be believed and understood.
One of my favorite moments of being here is just, I don't know, I love people. I get a high out of hanging out with people, and there's some really good people here. I'm a little bit older than everybody else, and so I'm thinking, God, everything's so complicated, but it's not. And they make it easy. They make it look so easy, and they actually walk you through how it is easy.
There's nothing that is more powerful than being in the face-to-face energy of people who are working in the same direction to accomplish things. Maybe not in the same direction in terms of what they're trying to do and how they're accomplishing it, but everybody's moving towards success.
I would just recommend that anybody who gets invited to anything by Kim, I think if you take it up, you will be very, very pleased and very happy in the short, medium, and long term.
The event was really strong. It was definitely more than I thought. Cool way to spend a weekend, learn a little bit about marketing funnels. It was much, much bigger, much, much more comprehensive than that, and I'm glad to have come.
If you can catch Kim's next live, go for it, because it's totally worth it.
And I'm so excited for the next events, and I can't wait to join you.
Oh yeah, if you like that video, then you will love all the resources that I have over at kimcdang.com. That is KIMCDANG.com. There you will find all my courses, my extensions, all the offers that I have, as well as a lot of free resources if you are just getting started.